Bejon Misra, founder, Patient Safety and Access Initiative of India Foundation, and I live out of New Delhi. That's my workplace. You see, there is a lot of data floating around in the public domain, which talks about India being the hub of spurious medicines, not of quality standard medicines. So it was very important, and it was very kind of an urgent requirement that most of these data which are not verified or not authentic, how do we create an authentic data in terms of India? Because India has been doing extremely well in terms of producing quality medicines at the most affordable price, and globally it is being acknowledged that India is the pharmacy of the world. So having said that, we in the healthcare delivery system, as on behalf of patients, wanted to know what it is exactly. So we convinced the government that we should do a scientific study in terms of the level of spurious or not of quality standard medicine today floating around in the supply chain in our country. So that was the whole motive, that how do we come out with a credible data. So you see, the most important thing was that whenever you create any data, it has to be done in a very scientific manner, and that's why the first thing we did was we created an extremely robust sampling process, and we engaged with the Indian Statistical Institute to recommend the sample size and how we should create that sampling. And then the next point is also making a very transparent process to ensure that there is no biasness in collection of the samples. So we made sure the citizens representatives from the Pharmacy Council of India, they accompanied the inspectors who went to draw the samples from the marketplace or from the designated place. So we made the process very transparent. And then when we sent it to the labs, we also made sure the labs are accredited labs or government labs which are competent to do these tests. So it was not, any kind of a lab. It was competent labs. And the labs were given the samples in a masked manner, so they won't know whose samples they were testing. So it was all coded, and it was done by use of technology. We created a software, which made sure that there is no biasness, there is no any kind of interference, in terms of the whole process of the sampling test. So it was done very scientifically. So we ensured to do that, and the key outcomes which came out was that we found that there were only 0.04% of the samples were found to be spurious, and on an average pan India it was about 3%, which was not of quality standards. But the most alarming thing was that the medicines which were sourced by the government or the government sourced medicine had as high as 10% not of quality standards, which was a very alarming kind of an information, because it gave evidence that the procurement of the government medicines are not being done in a manner it should be done. And another very important aspect which came out of this survey was we exactly pinpointed in which district or in which part of the country, the maximum not of quality standards medicines were found. And that was a very, again, revealing factor, that there are certain pockets in the country which actually are culprits in terms of, but what we are trying to figure out is that even if there is 1% not of quality standard, how do we ensure that we reduce it? So we should work towards how do we reduce it. So finally, the recommendation came out with a process where, as I said, we created a software. So as per law, all state governments are supposed to draw samples and test them regularly. So we suggested that it should always be done in the scientific manner in terms of collection of the samples. It should not be left to the whims and fancy of the drug inspector to walk into a place and draw the sample. So it should be done in such a statistically significant manner that it is unbiased and nobody can interfere with the process, So that was one recommendation which came out. The second recommendation was that we should follow the same process because the software the government has already invested in. So why can't we use this software in future for all the states and make it a common kind of a platform and help government to come out with these kind of results in a regular manner and make them public, so that at least there is a good robust recall system, that if supposing something is found that it is not of quality standard or it is spurious, then immediately an alert system should work to draw those samples back from the marketplace so that it doesn't reach the patients or the consumers. And that again, those samples which are collected, which are not of good quality, they should be destroyed in a manner which is again very robust and very credible, and people should start building a trust in terms of the system. So this is where we have given a recommendation to the government that there should be a portal, technology should be used, and it should become pan-India, and every state should become party to this.